What's up everybody, Joe from Omnia today, and here we're talking about bladed jig, aka chatterbait fishing. I have in front of me two setups, and we're gonna go over some variables as to when I would lean one way or the other for the rod, reel, line setup, and also just the conditions for fishing a bladed jig. The bladed jig has become one of the most popular techniques across the country. It catches big fish, it catches numbers. Certain times of the year, especially, it can be one of the best techniques to throw. So as far as rod reel setup, with the reel, I'm pretty straight across the board no matter what type of chatterbait fishing I'm doing. I like a 7.1-to-1 Daiwa Zillion. This thing's got the hyper boost system. It's gonna cast super well. So long distance casting with a chatterbait, covering water, it's gonna be awesome. Also for target fishing with a chatterbait, which is that's my favorite way to do it, around docks, laydowns, shallow cover. That Zillion's gonna have you dialed in, making super accurate casts and skips very efficiently. When it comes to rods, for more of my standard, I would say 90% of the chatterbait fishing I'm doing, I'm using a glass rod. This is the X-Pride from Shimano, the 7.2 medium heavy glass rod. An amazing chatterbait rod. One thing you'll notice when you pick up this glass model rod, it feels much lighter, much more of like a thin blank than your typical glass chatterbait rods. All day fishability, great, awesome, super crisp rod for a chatterbait. My other pick is actually gonna be a non-glass rod, more of a graphite type rod. This is a 7.2 medium from Daiwa. This is the Steez. I'm using this rod more of my deeper water chatterbait fishing, where I'm actually fishing the chatterbait more like a jig. When you're fishing it out deeper, the parabolic action of the rod isn't quite as important, I've found. I would rather lean towards more of a stiff rod for that deeper chatterbait fishing, because you're not moving the bait so much. You're really fishing it truly like a jig, and you're kind of fishing it, giving it subtle hops, whether you're fishing deep coontail, for example, deep weed lines. You'll want to pop that bait free and just let it fall back to the bottom. You're not really moving it. A really super light, sensitive rod, you can feel bites very well, but it has that backbone that you can snap it out of weeds and snap it out of cover very, very easily. When it comes to my line setup, all of my shallower chatterbait fishing, especially when I'm winding and moving it, skipping docks, always gonna be 20-pound test for me. You can run it against dock posts. It's gonna come through very well. You almost never have to worry about the thing bogging or getting frayed on you. It's gonna last all day long, no concerns. But when I go out to that deeper water, 15, 20 feet plus, where you're fishing that chatterbait nice and slow, like a jig almost, I will lean to maybe an 18 or even 16-pound test. There's just less things that you're gonna run your line up against out there. There's no dock posts out in the middle of the lake. So lighter line, often you'll get more bites with lighter line. We know that through all techniques of fishing. A lighter diameter line is a better option for fishing that deeper chatterbait offshore. When it comes to the actual bait selection, I do lean towards the jackhammer for sure. They have, in my opinion, some of the best color options, the best components. Three really great colors. My favorite three colors are gonna be for dirty water conditions, burning docks, moving that bait really fast to get a reaction bite. This dirty white color is more of a traditional shad white color with a gold blade on it. Super killer dirty water color, and then you can't go wrong with the black and blue. Typically when I'm fishing, if I'm burning a chatterbait around docks, I like a 3/8 ounce. I feel like I can move it easier. It's easier to manage. You can skip it better, in my opinion. But when you're just straight out moving water, casting long distances, covering water, 1/2 ounce is the way to go. Green pumpkin, also a great color. You can't go wrong with that. No matter what the color, water clarity is, green pumpkin will work, but I do prefer it in more of a clean water scenario. I also have the Evo Elites here. These have some awesome color skirt combinations and blade head combinations. We see copper blades here, which is something that's new too in the last year since the Evo came out. One of the first chatterbaits to have those really cool color combinations, I would say, and also a great dirty water option too. If you don't want that full-on flash of a gold blade like in the dirty shad color, this copper blade kind of still gives you that flash, but it's not as I guess boisterous underwater. It doesn't, it's not too off-putting for maybe pressured fish. When it comes to the trailer options I'm picking, I'm majority of the time leaning towards more of a pintail style trailer. For example, we have the Spunk Shad Hog Farmer version or the Missile Baits version. These are gonna give you more of that erratic hunting action of your bait. In my opinion, so important when you're fishing shallow, especially around docks or lakes that have a lot of fishing pressure. You know, when you get to mid to late summer, those fish in shallow, dirty water, they've seen a lot of baits. People are always throwing jigs or swim jigs under there, or even fishing a chatterbait too. But if you fish that thing really fast and really get it burning, it'll have a more erratic action. It'll bang off dock posts a little better and you'll get more bites. Definitely the best option, in my opinion, is the spunk shad. But when you get to that deeper water chatterbait fishing where you're fishing it more like a jig, kind of hopping it along, I've found that the more erratic trailer actually does not get you as many bites. I do prefer more of a straight trailer like a razor shad. A razor shad is going to let that chatterbait run very, very straight in comparison to a spunk shad. So I prefer that when you're fishing deeper and the blade of the head is just fluttering a couple times every time you pull that bait and you're letting it fall back to the bottom. I do prefer a straighter trailer size or straighter tail trailer that I guess it might impede the natural hunting action of a jackhammer, but it kind of keeps it running straight and true, and it's not too obtrusive or too much excitement down there for the fish to handle, basically. So those are two of my preferred chatterbait setups for standard, traditional winding and grinding chatterbait fishing, glass rod. But if I'm out deep fishing it more like a jig, I do prefer more of a, I guess, a graphite rod in comparison. So that's my setup for bladed jig fishing at omniafishing.com.